Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Race Lanes podcast. We are running a little bit behind schedule, but hey, we made it. We here to ride again. Tonight we have our special guest joining us this evening, Mr. John Farquhar. I hope I didn't butcher that too bad, John, but I'm sure you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm going to go ahead and welcome in my co-host, Mr. Chuck Snow. Good evening, Chuck. How are you?
We're doing great. How are you, Rico?
Doing pretty good. We're trying to a little bit of a technical glitch tonight. We're not broadcasting on a couple of our channels. Not sure why there was a little bit of an issue, but we're live on YouTube, so we may have some people join us, come over and join us. We may not, but hey, it'll be up there, and we'll be able to. This will be one that we can definitely get into the archive, and definitely we can point people in the right direction. And with that being said, and without any further ado, let's welcome our special guest on to the show this evening.
Hey, gentlemen, how are you this evening?
Hey, good evening, John. How are you?
Good. No, you didn't butcher my last name at all. You're doing well.
Good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a little piece of housekeeping before we get started too far down the road. Remember, please like, share, and subscribe. That helps us gets us into the algorithm, gets us broadcast to a bigger and wider audience, and it helps. It just helps us. It doesn't cost you anything. I kind of feel foolish even asking for it, but that's what they say that you have to do if you want to try to grow your channel. So if you help us out by liking, sharing, and subscribing, leave us a couple of comments or anything like that. If you have a question tonight, of course, always join into the chat, and we'll try to definitely make sure that we try to weave it into the conversation.
I don't think you should feel bad about it. When I go to the hardware store now and I go to pay my bill, it's got a thing on the Visa where I like to leave a tip at the hardware store. So you asking for likes, I don't think, you know what, that is nowhere near the moxie it takes to ask for a tip at the hardware store.
Exactly.
And like I said, you could it's free to like to give us a like, share, or
Yep, that's right. Not cost you a thing.
So with that being said, gentlemen, how's everybody feeling this evening?
Great. Things are going well.
I feel like I'm here.
Well, John, you're our resident expert for the evening. I guess I'm gonna give you the steering wheel to the show to kind of help guide us on where would you like for us to kind of kick this thing off and lead this conversation for tonight.
Well, we were talking earlier about having a chit chat and a chinwag about that funky word that's becoming it's becoming the new yes word out there, telematics.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
There's lots to do with it, lots to do without it, lots to love, lots to hate. But it's becoming a thing that is becoming the norm here in the industry of transportation.
Yeah, okay. I think if the carriers that don't want to share their data for whatever reason, I don't think are going to be able to stay in business.
Well, and I think part of the problem is if you're not sharing your data, there's a very good chance you don't even know your data. You're probably not even managing your data. And that's probably what scares you about sharing your data.
Exactly. It's you can get a lot of information about your company and things and behaviors and costs as well from telematics that are easily available.
Oh, yeah.
On any of the new trucks. Like, are your guys, are they idling trucks when they shouldn't be? Are they, what else are they doing wrong? Are they tailgating? All these behavior. Are they taking corners too fast? Things you want to know.
Yeah.
Are they entrance ramps to freeways? Are they taking them too fast? Because, always, whenever I do a road test, I still do the odd one for traffics. Always remind drivers that, especially in an operation where the trailers are preloaded, you don't know how something is loaded. And you go and you take that entrance ramp too fast. That speed that's marked there is for cars, not loaded trailers.
So let's do this. Let's do this for a minute. Let's take a step back for people that may not be familiar with what exactly telematics is. Let's kind of unpack that a little bit and how if they if they're unfamiliar with it, and that means they may or may not have it or have access to it, how do they get access to it? What is there anything that they need to do or anything like that to upgrade in order to get access to the information so that they can begin measuring it? Let's kind of start from a rudimentary standpoint and go forward.
Well, let's go back to the basics. How's that sound?
Right.
So
Okay, that's a good place
in
to start.
transportation, it is we generate data all the time, tons and tons of data. It's ridiculous. So even if you, prior to computers coming into place and these lovely things they called a cell phone, before those ever came into play, we had landlines and we had to talk to drivers via that, and we had paper that we generated.
Yeah.
That was data. That was big data. Okay. But it was very handsy data. We had to touch it all the time and move it around. But everything we had was data. We knew our customers. We knew our trucks. When the driver talked to us to say, "Oh, I'm here and I'm empty," that was data. We recorded that. We wrote that down to say, at this time of the day, Bob was empty over here in Dallas, Texas,
and
he's waiting for a reload. Exactly, the old dispatch card. So that is data. Taking it to the point where, as we moved along from that point, what the trucks were doing, tracking the maintenance of the vehicles. Your maintenance shop was doing, okay, here's what we're doing. Here's what we found. We got this tick, we got this noise. We're writing it down on a work order. Data. I can now look at what's going on. Even getting into the point of carrier profiles, your safety profiles, your SMS profiles with your DOT. That's data, right? So now the downfall of paper data is it's very reactive. It's old data. By the time I get to it and get to look at it, it's already aged immensely. Could be months, weeks, days. It's definitely going to be more weeks and months before we say anything with it.
Right.
So along come satellite tracking. That's a form of telematics. I can now track the trucks in real time where they are. And that telematic evolved into communicating with the driver in real time, cell phones. Okay. I could breadcrumb that cell phone. Where did I last talk to him? Where did I do this? The satellite tracking would breadcrumb and tell me where was the truck, where was this, where was that. And it's evolved to, I can monitor the speed. I can monitor what the truck's doing in real time. So telematics has just evolved over the years. Instead of being paper-based now, we're electronic-based. And we've gotten so good at telematics with all the equipment we have that generates telematics data with the new trucks. Trucks are loaded with computers all over. It's just not one, it's hundreds of computers in that truck. Monitoring temperature, sensors, ratios, gear ratios, tires per circumference while they're spinning down the road, RPMs, all this stuff is all recorded and becomes data that we can access like that. Just snap of a finger, boom, I can access it, I can see. So the fun part about, as we were talking here, we can now monitor how fast that driver's going around that on-ramp to get on the highway. We can see that in real time. And now we can get alerts because we have the technology on the trucks that say, whoa, hang on, I'm tipping and I shouldn't be tipping. So it'll automatically apply the brakes. It'll release the throttle. Even though the driver's pounding on the throttle pedal to go around the corner, all of a sudden the engine will derate itself, the brakes will apply, and the truck will slow down, and it'll level out and keep going.
Right.
So,
John, you froze up on us. You got her going now?
I think so.
Oh, just trying to get John up.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him back in. Uh-oh. He did say that they was going to have a storm.
Yeah, they're having a bad one.
There he is.
Oh, jeepers. I don't know. Was that me or was that you guys?
I'm not sure, John. Not sure, but
I was talking to myself there for a while.
Not sure, but this will definitely be one for the archives for sure.
Yes, it definitely.
So I don't see you guys, but I can definitely hear you. That's the bonus part.
Well, the best looking guys on the government.
Well, I'm the only one with still a little bit of hair, so yeah. Oh,
Right,
God.
right.
All right, cool. So shall we carry on where I thought we were?
Yeah, let's carry on.
Okay, so I was kind of rattling off about how telematics has come into play here now, and we're able to capture so much more data. You know, we've got ELDs, electronic logging devices in the trucks now. We've got dash cameras, forward-facing, rear-facing, all loading up to the cloud and all giving us real-time effect and information. So trucks are no different with all the tracking. We can monitor how fast the truck's going, how it's going around the corners, all this great information. So the trick is, what are we doing with this information?
Right.
You know, are we doing anything? I know there's some people out there, and that's probably one of them right there, that's not doing anything. He's buried his head in the sand and going, hey, the less I know about it, the better off I am.
Blind eyes get stabbed too.
Yep. And you couldn't be more wrong, unfortunately, by putting your head in the sand, right?
No, you got to know when stuff is going wrong. If you've got drivers with behavioral issues that are tailgating or driving too fast or not using their signals or a myriad of other things, that is a potential to end your business very quickly.
Oh, very much so. And the thing is, prosecuting attorneys, defense attorneys, courts of law, they all know this data exists.
Yes.
And trust me, if you don't do anything with it, they will. And they will subpoena this. They'll go.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
He's making a good
I think it's John's internet connection. Let's see. It shows that his signal is coming in strong. But for some reason, he's frozen up. And I don't know why he's the only one that's being shown. So, ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for.
Yeah, we didn't start out to have it this way. Okay, well, we're back anyways.
Apologize for the technical issues, ladies and gentlemen. So John dropped off again. I'm not sure what is going on here. This is new. Never quite had this kind of reaction or anything from using this platform before. It's the first time for this, and it looks no.
I told him to log in again, see if that helps.
All right.
Oh, there he is.
Hey,
John,
Uh-oh.
we got his handsome face. Just don't hear his wise words.
okay, here we go.
There he is. I think he's back.
Can you see me now? Can you hear me now?
There he is. I
Yes,
think we
yes.
started. I think that storm that you was talking about a little earlier, John. I think it might be.
Yeah, there's it's dead still out there right now, like dead still. It's not even raining now. It was raining when we first started, but it's not raining now. But it's weird because I've lost it twice, and I'm actually now hot spotted to my a little more reliable internet. So
Right.
Okay.
But anyway,
let's give that
cool.
a shot.
So anyway, so back to telematics.
So we were talking about it.
You need to do something. Go ahead.
With the data.
No, I go ahead. You picked right up where I was going. So go ahead.
Yeah. So it's about what are you doing with that data? Because if you're not doing something with it, guaranteed the courts will, the prosecuting attorneys will for sure. And this is what's really important.
Let's just put this out there, John. You can't, the data that you are collecting, either purposely or just your truck is collecting it, you cannot hide that data. There's no way of hiding it.
No. Well, and let's change the word collecting, because it's really not collecting, it's generating.
Yes, that's
your truck is generating that data. It's the cloud that's collecting it, and your software that you're using, your service provider is collecting that data. So it now gets into a place where it's very easy for the courts to subpoena that information. The prosecuting attorney can go after that very easily.
So one of the things that when we're talking about telematics and things of that nature, especially with the everyone having to be on ELDs now, that's being compliant with ELDs, that availed you to a whole bunch of different data that you may not have been able to collect. How can they tap into that data, John, so that they can to use it to their individual benefit?
Well, it's quite surprising the data that is generated. So part of it is how to analyze and manage that data will depend on your service provider as to how deep you're going to collect and what you're looking to collect. So let's do as an example. The common stuff we see: speeding, hard brake, right? Your dash cameras, AI technology out the front can now tell us if we're following too close, lane deviation and stuff like that, okay? But here's a fun one. Have you ever managed or ever tracked the number of times you open a door? Your seatbelt can be tracked, okay? Because when you pull your seatbelt out and click it, there's an electronic module in there that tells you it's now connected. It'll tell you if your seatbelt is overextended or not extended enough, okay? The fact that when you open the door, your light indicator for the cab lights, okay, comes on. There's a little switch that tells you the lights come on. That is trackable through telematics. So how many times I use my signal is trackable through telematics, because it's all run by computers, right? So it's really cool to be able to find out how much data you can track. Now, again, it goes back to your TSP provider as to what you can access at your time. But let me give you a prime example. I've got a very good friend of mine, a colleague, who specializes in cell phone analytics, okay? So phone sits like this. As soon as I put it up, it wakes up.
Right.
That's trackable. That's trackable. He could go in, tap into my phone and tell me how many times I did that today, how many times I did that in the last hour. Okay.
Wow.
So when you take this type of technology and say it's in the trucks, I can look at everything that's going on. I can tell you what time you turned your wipers on, because you got this, I know where you were, and I can tell, with computer data and telematics, I could say, yeah, he turned his wipers on. There's when it came on. So all that data is able to be mined, as they call it. So I can go back, I can track it, I can look at it. So it can all be used in the reconstruction of a crash, right? Which is very helpful today, because we have really fancy software out there, that will allow us to reconstruct a collision scene. Not only are we using the old basics of, distance, friction, coefficient, skid marks, and all this good stuff. Now I add into it the telematics to find out, okay, how fast was the truck going? What gear was it in? What was the tire rotation? When did they apply the brakes? So now I can start going backwards and going, okay, between perception, reaction, air lag or brake lag time with air brakes, I can now determine to the vehicle, and now we have the skid marks. I can start looking at how fast the truck was going when he applied the brake versus how fast he was going partway through the skid. So all this really neat technology is cool. Now, the downfall is there's so much data. I've just rhymed off a whole bunch of stuff. It's already making my head spin. So when you're looking at data, it comes at you like a fire hose. It's just huge.
Right.
And you need to put a filter on it. You got to put a tap on it. So I need it to come out like it does at the sink in the kitchen, the faucet. I can control the amount of data. And that's what companies need to do, is they need to get good at controlling the data and go, okay, hang on, no. I just want a few things right now. What's most important to my operation? Well, speed should be number one for everybody.
Yeah.
Harsh braking should be another one, right? Idle time is a great profitability opportunity if I can reduce my idle time along with my speed. Harsh cornering is another opportunity. Harsh acceleration, right? So those are some things that, careful, we don't want to get too many. Three's a good number. Let's start with 3 components and work on those. Are so combined, it's funny, because if I'm going too fast, chance I'm going to be following too close. Next thing, I'm going to be harsh braking very quickly. So by putting those two together, and if I can minimize those types of incidents on a regular basis, because I can measure it in real time and work with my drivers, I can now change behavior. I can now reduce the frequency of those types of incidents. And now I can reduce the chance of having a large crash. Right? So those 2 components alone for every motor carrier should be a must. And then take in and start looking at, as I'm managing that down and working that down, now I can start looking at some other stuff. Maybe if I've got dash cameras, maybe I look at some artificial intelligence, the AI component of dash cameras, and go, okay, do we have some distractions here is another opportunity? What are my following distances with drivers and stuff like that? As you mentioned, Chuck, the harsh cornering on ramps and stuff like that. Maybe he's not speeding, but he might be taking that a little quicker than he should be based on the load.
I have a question for you. How easy or difficult is it to, I know speeding, you can change that behavior, okay, with drivers. You have to talk to them and you have to basically convert them into a different mindset that it doesn't, like you said, you got there just as fast at 96 kilometers an hour, which is just under, it's about 58 miles an hour as somebody that was doing 68 miles an hour. You really got there just as quickly without wearing yourself out or your truck, your tires, your fuel, everything else. But tailgating, okay, is that a behavior that is, how do you change that behavior? Because that seems to be a whole different thing if somebody's their perception almost, because it's such a dumb thing to do. Like how I watch people speed up to the lights, I cringe. You're in 13th gear and you see damn well that light just turned red. There's no way, like I don't understand it.
Well, I mean, you don't even have to go that far. What the thing that really gets me is sometimes you're just sitting in a truck stop and you seeing guys flipping on the high side going through the truck stop.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed when I went through a truck stop, and I had a big black Peterbilt, and I really liked it. And I picked this up from other guys. I really like going through the truck stop nice and slow, let the air out of this, and let the chrome plates on the bottom of my mud flaps tinkle on the asphalt as I was trickling through the truck stop. It just looks so cool, and it was really slow. Tinkle, 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 tinkle. I thought it was cool. Versus the guys that are doing 30 mile an hour through there. I was like, slow down. But it all hinges on behavior, right? So and behavior is is changeable. It's predictable. There's a lot of predictive models out there that can help you understand behavior and realize, okay, we need to do some adjustments. Behavior is not changeable 90 or 180 degrees overnight. It takes time, and it works with education and coaching. Now, company culture is also a big influence on how
Right.
you're going to change that behavior as well. So as a perfect example, okay, and I'm a big believer in this, so that's why I'm going to preach it. So let's use your example, Chuck, of following too close, right?
Right.
Guys in a rush. So I'm going to start looking at that behavior, and I'm going to start looking and drill down to go, what's the root cause of this behavior? Why is this behavior happening? You know, it's not there just because he can do it. No, there's something that's causing this driver in particular to want to tailgate or follow too close. So it's a matter of sitting down with the driver and finding out what it is. There are some common denominators out there. One is, I'm in a rush. I've got to go. Load's got to be there. Giddy up, get it on. I'm also paid by the mile. The more miles I make, the more money I make, right? So knowing that these can be hamperments, and I'm not trying to say that these are the end all be all of the situation. They're not at all. But it's one factor that could be an influencer on this behavior. So if we look at that and we said, okay, well, how could we change that behavior by changing the root cause? Take away the root cause. So maybe if it's like, well, really, I'm not in a rush. I just want to get there because I'm running out of hours. Or, you know what, I can make more money if I just pick up the speed. I can get 3 more miles per hour. You know, that's so many more cents, a couple bucks per hour and whatnot. Makes me feel better. Problem is that it creates all kinds of other effects, fatigue, stress, all these other things. But so it comes back to the education, not of just the driver, but also of operations to go, okay, well, hang on. What is it actually costing this company for this guy to tailgate and probably speed or push it to the limits and whatnot, which is putting him at risk of being involved in a crash? And if I'm involved in a crash, holy crap, how much is that costing me now? And now the truck goes out of commission, driver's down, good chance I'm going to lose the driver anyway because his truck's not working for the next 2 months because it's all bashed to pieces. So if we could look at it in a different light and go, okay, well, how can I make his life a little better, adjust his behaviorism, get him to change his driving habits, and now I can take and go, how do I take and manage this better? So we could look at different things, maybe a different pay schedule, maybe taking and looking at
Yeah.
We losing John's internet is.
There's always that ability. Tell me when I'm back. So, are we there? Am I back
sorry,
again?
John.
You were making a great point.
We got some of it, but it's coming through broken. Your internet's kind of going in and out.
Jeez, gotta love this. How about now? Am I back now?
You back
You're
now?
good now. You're strong.
Okay, good. So here's something I like the comment that's on the screen here. When driving your semi truck and a vehicle cuts in front of you at 4 seconds, is telematics reporting the driver is tailgating because the driver isn't 7 seconds away? It depends. It depends on if there's a harsh event associated with that, which could cause you to say, whoa, I've got a hard brake. You applied the brakes to make room. But the video footage is going to help you to go, I see that driver's cut in front of me, right? So you're going to have that ability to say, okay, I might have had an event, but there's enough evidence there to show it wasn't my fault. Somebody cut in front of me, and away we go. Where the problem comes into place is that car cuts in front of me, and now I've got a bit of a rage going on because I'm like, you four-wheeling idiot, what are you doing this for me? And now you stay on that guy's butt rather than backing off a little bit.
Yeah.
That's where now we have a problem. So now we've created road rage, not to mention, you know, we're creating stress upon ourselves and the driver in front of us. So we as professionals have to prevail here and go, I'll give him a bit of room. I give him a bit of room. No problem there.
And that's the thing. That's the key. That's the key critical component, John. We have to always remember that we are professionals, that we are going to be held to a different standard.
Oh,
and the
huge.
thing about it is, I'm pretty sure that most people, if you haven't been through the Smith system, that's one of the I definitely still implement Smith system in my driving. It's definitely it works, especially when you're doing it. You know, sometimes you just play the game with yourself and do the commentary driving. You know what I'm saying? How they have you doing the training and stuff like that. If you just remember the key, the different keys and everything on the Smith system, it definitely helps keep you out of harm's way and can go a long way in making sure that you're trying to be as safe as you possibly can.
It does, and something you have to think about is if you've done completed the Smith system or any defensive driving system that's really given you some very good knowledge, you have to start thinking about it while you're driving in real time. You know, don't just rely on the fact that, oh, I've completed that training. No, apply it, and you said it right there. Talk to yourself. Okay, I'm in the situation. What should I be doing? What should I be looking for? If I had a driver sitting next to me that I was training, what would I be saying to that driver? How would I teach that driver or mentor that driver in this situation? You have to be the bigger man. You have to step up because, well, the bonus part is you can be the guy that can prevent anything from happening. And if that's the case, I don't need telematics to tell me what I need to do, but the telematics are going to record what I do.
And I'm not saying by any means that any of us as drivers have to be beyond reproach and be walking on water or anything like that. I'm just simply saying that you have to have that moment. Of course, if somebody cuts you off and everything, if you're in that situation, I mean, you reserve the right. You can give them the one finger salute if you want to or whatever. But at the end of the day, you still have to remain calm enough to make sure that you are doing the steps that you need to do to kind of keep yourself, to keep yourself out of harm's way.
Yep. So here's a question for all of us and everybody out there as well in TV land here. Okay, how many people as a driver trainer, driver manager, driver supervisor have ever had a driver come up to you and go, I had an incident today. It was a near miss. Holy crap. But you know what? I need some more training to help me better understand how to deal with that situation. Have you ever had anybody come up to you and say?
I have never had an individual have the balls to come up to me and say that I need more training.
That's a rare bird.
Right.
Maybe it's because in fairness, we had a policy, we hired for years and years, we wouldn't hire anyone that didn't have a lot of experience.
Right. So, but the problem is, even with all that experience, and you guys can attest to this, you've been driving for a long time. I've got 40, God, too many years under my belt now, but none of us know it all.
No,
right.
None of us know
things
it all.
change.
And we have exactly. Everything's evolving and whatnot, but we have the opportunity to learn from somebody else's mistakes. Right. So hence, let's go back to telematics. Telematics is generated data from these vehicles as to what's going on all the time, whether it's sitting, driving down the road or whatever, whether it be dash camera footage, telematics data that's telling me how the driver's driving the vehicle. But if there's opportunity in there to be able to say, you know what, we had a situation, didn't cost us anything, we had no ill will out of it, maybe it was a harsh brake situation or something like that, there's a learning opportunity. And not just for that driver, for every driver in our fleet, there's a learning opportunity. So first and foremost, I want to talk with the driver that had this situation, this event, and be able to go, hey, how'd you react? How did you do? What was your feelings? What were your thoughts? Don't make it a bad thing, because maybe it wasn't a bad thing. Maybe it was just a situation that he was like, I'd never been in this situation before. I didn't know how to react. So now you've got an opportunity to learn from this. Right. Anybody that owns a driving simulator, I'll be the first one to tell you, take that information, recreate that scenario in your driving simulator and have drivers go through it. There's the place you can crash without costing you $1.
Right.
And everybody will learn to go, if I had made a left before the right, I could have avoided that whole situation. That's good stuff. I'll remember that next time. And that prevents future incidents. So dash cam footage, telematics data and whatnot, we can learn so much from it. And unfortunately, as drivers, we're very proud of what we can do, that we're really not interested in asking for more help. But I'll tell you, when you have a driver's meeting and you use some of this information to talk about an incident or how to do this or refresh people's minds, you're even going to have the old guys like me sitting there going, oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, I'm glad that's refreshed me. That's good.
Well,
I hope I never have to need it, but I now know it again.
One of the big things that I to take maybe a step from away from the military and even like martial arts and other things of that nature, you fight like you train. And if you don't, and if you're not training, you know what I'm saying? So you just adapt that to our, apply that to our skill set. If you're not training as a driver or whatever, and being prepared for a litany of different scenarios, if you're not going through those things constantly in your mind, then you may have a sharp skill set, but if you're not practicing it and you're not constantly tuning your mind to understand what it is that you need to do, when you need to do it, and how you need to do it, then when the situation does present itself, then you may not react as you think that you probably would react if you're not constantly training yourself on that.
There's a perfect phrase for that, and we've all heard it. Practice makes perfect.
Absolutely.
No, bullcrap. It does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect, right? And how do I get perfect practice? Well, I need training to help me know what I need to practice perfectly.
Right.
Yeah. You know what? What happens a lot out there, I think, is you get somebody that learns to drive a truck at 18 or 21 years old. They go out on the road and they're doing it for a number of years proficiently, but they pick up bad habits. And if there's nobody there to tell them that they're picking up a bad habit, and I'm not I'm not a golfer, but I understand that with golfing, and I know with skiing as well. If you're doing something wrong in golf, apparently, and nobody's telling you you're doing something wrong, you're just going to reinforce a bad habit.
I'm a golfer. I've had that problem many, many times. It's like, I can't figure it out. So what do? You keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
Right. That's insanity.
And it's not going to work.
That's
right. Exactly. It is insanity. But when you have somebody teach you to go, it's your hand placement. And if you do a slight twist like this, now all of a sudden you won't hook the ball anymore. And it's like, it goes straight. It's like, holy crap. And it was just a slight adjustment. But it made a huge difference in your game. I'm sure you guys are sports lovers. Rico, what's your favorite sports team?
We're going to go with the Clemson Tigers.
There you go. Right. So are they a good team?
Oh, well, we on the rebound. We had a down. We had a little bit of a down year, but we on the rebound. I think we'll be back in the.
So they play the game in order to win.
Of course.
We're no different as drivers.
Absolutely.
We're driving to win. There's an end goal. But the problem is, in your case with the Tigers, they have to do something to get better at winning.
Got to practice.
And that's training. Training. Practice, training. They're two different things. And I think that's where drivers miss it, because they think driving is practicing, but it's not. There's training on how to practice perfectly. And that becomes the challenge. So that's where telematics can come in and help us learn what it is we're doing or not doing appropriately, correctively, or whatever. And that can help us to improve ourselves. Because let's take the old guys from the 70s. I came up in the 80s, but even back then, guys that drove, how much training did they get?
None.
Right?
None. Somebody had to give the keys to the truck and said, "Don't smash anything up." And
that's right. That's
only when you're in New York.
Yeah, exactly.
So John, I'll let you finish that point. I got a question for you.
Okay, so today's day and age, we're seeing more training because we're getting a lot more new drivers, right? And those new drivers are coming with no experience. So we have to provide training. We can't rely on the schools they come from. We can't rely on the carrier they worked at before. We've got to use this. But one of the coolest things is training is so much easier today because we have all this telematics data that's telling us all kinds of things. Might not be about that one driver, but it's telling us about all kinds of other drivers in our fleet that we could use as learning opportunities to be able to say, we're having speeding issues. Where are we having speeding issues? Why are we having these speeding issues? And how can we curb this and teach this to our new drivers as they come on so they don't collect these habits? Rico.
So for the small guys that made one or two truck guys, that may not be you talked about having a simulator that may not have all of the different things that a
Right.
bigger fleet may
Yep.
have at their disposal. What are some
Right.
things that they can utilize as far as making sure that they are practicing using the information, using the data that they are able to gather?
Yep. Well, there's lots of opportunities there, because in today's day and age, if you're running on a federal basis, you're running interstate, okay? You're crossing lines over 100 miles an hour or 100-mile distance, sorry, you're having to run an ELD.
Right.
So an ELD is going to generate data. So it's a matter of talk to your ELD provider, because behind the scenes, there's more than just the ELD information. There's information there that tells me how fast it's going. And if I have to buy a service to go with it that would tell me how fast am I going in specific speed zones where I can get alert. So I got 2, 3, 4 trucks. I got drivers in those trucks. I want to know what they're doing. I could be monitoring that. I could have my wife monitor it. I could do it on a weekend or whatever. And I could see all these violation alerts. If I can curb those alerts based on what my truck's doing, there's a better chance those drivers will never get a roadside violation for speeding, because I'm going to minimize the number of times they're speeding. So that will change the behavior. And speeding is linked. There's so many studies out there. Speeding is linked to lots of behavioral issues, because I'm rushing, I'm hurrying, I'm trying to get there now. It all stems from maybe what I'm getting paid, maybe dispatch is pushing up my butt, my wife's screaming at me because she wants me home this weekend, so I'm trying to rush by Friday afternoon instead of Saturday morning. So
Yeah.
these stresses and pressures I'm putting on myself, or maybe I just need to dispatch and go, boys, can't do the Colorado run. Can you put me on an Illinois? I need to be home Friday morning. Set your priorities straight with the company you're working for. And if they're not going to work with you, well, then maybe it's time to find another company to work for, because there's lots of good ones out there. But nonetheless, that's another topic. But by utilizing that technology, we can see what the drivers are doing. And if we're seeing lots of violations, it's not just a matter of going, hey, you got to stop speeding. No. Why are you speeding? What's causing you to speed? What's driving you to speed?
Are you leaving too? You know what? We always found a lot of times guys would get speeding tickets because they left too bloody late.
Yep.
And you
exactly.
can't, you know what? When you've got a 7 a.m. delivery in Chicago, and you decide all of a sudden that you're going to leave Toronto at midnight, I don't care how fast you're going. Well, first of all, you're going to have a ticket or a crash trying to do 540 miles in 7 hours. Even though you may make up an hour, you're cutting it too close. And I think that's one of the things I found years ago with drivers getting tickets, is they left too late. They didn't allow themselves the buffer. And sometimes you have problem shippers.
Oh yeah.
That's what I was going to get ready to say.
So let's add telematics, because here's the bonus part. I can I can visualize in real time when you're leaving the yard, when you should be starting your trip, even if you're from home or whatever. And if I know, okay, you've got 500 miles to go, leaving about this time. Want to have fun? I can geo vehicle using telematics. So now I can go, I get an alert on my phone that tells me, oh, these trucks are leaving at this time. Good, everybody's on time. Oh, that's interesting. Truck 7 hasn't left yet. Another hour goes by. Truck 7 hasn't left yet. I'm going to make a phone call to truck 7 and go, where are you? Why haven't you left yet? Maybe there's a problem. My wife's gone into labor. I'm sorry, I couldn't even get a hold of you. I'm at the hospital. We're going to have our child. Okay, cool, no problem. I'll get a hold of Bob over here. I'll get him to take the run, and we'll reschedule him to deliver tomorrow instead of tonight. And then therefore we're okay. We'll call the customer, go, hey, you know what? Good news. Ralph's having a baby, but your load's going to be a day late. So, I'm sure the shipper will live with that, rather than going, well, I'd rather have it a day late than I would upside down in the ditch. And a lot of that comes with communication again, right? So, but
and it's a company culture as well. Where you have to tell people, number one, you got to communicate. Number two, don't leave it to the last minute. And that comes with maturity as well. With drivers, and they can be young and mature, and they can be old and immature. And sometimes I saw horrible behavior from older guys that thought they knew it all.
Yep. Well,
those were the guys that were leaving, at midnight for the 7 o'clock delivery in Chicago, and they've been up all day.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
a crash just waiting to happen.
It's not helping whatsoever, and especially with today's congestion. We have so much congestion everywhere. But so one of the dilemmas that we have to deal with to get that company culture is, as we always hear, it's got to come from the top down.
Top down. Top down.
So, but the problem is we have some companies that don't even know what they're doing at the top, so they can't drive it down. So that's where it's handy to have drivers to be able to drive it up, right? But if you're not driving it up, and if you're in a company that's not going anyway, then maybe it's time for you to go find another company to work at, because they obviously don't care about the rules. They don't care about you. And that's a big challenge.
That's the first thing I tell drivers when I'm just talking to them is, wherever you're working, make sure that they are, they're going to watch your back, and they're not going, they want you to follow a regime of safety, and they respect you, and they want to keep you safe. Mm-hmm. They're not asking you to be up all day and then pull an all-nighter, because that's deadly. That's how that's how people get killed.
Yeah. Well, and that's the bonus of telematics again, whether it be from the truck that's being generated, your ELD that's being generated. If you're being pressured and you're being pushed, I got an ELD. It doesn't lie. It tells me what I can do and what I can't do. So if I get dispatch going, you got to be there. I can't, dude. I'm out of hours. I've got 20 minutes to be, somewhere it's going to take me 2 hours to get there. It's not going to happen. And no, I'm not going to cheat the system, because, well, when we cheat the system, who gets burned? Me as the driver. I'm the one that's going to get pulled over. I'm going to get the ticket. I'm going to pay $390. You know what? And it's coming out of my pocket. How am I making it back?
And it's on my record, and that's my livelihood. And if I get too many of these, I can't drive a truck.
Yep.
Because nobody will hire me.
Yep.
Because I'm uninsurable.
Yeah.
And if I kill somebody and I'm over my hours, I could go to jail. Is your truckload of soda crackers that important?
Right. Exactly. And that's where it's got to come from the top down, right? That's where that top down mentality has to come. The company goes, I don't want this with my drivers, because I don't know any company owner that doesn't want to sleep at night. They all want to sleep at night, not have to worry about it. I've met one company who really good telematics program, very phenomenal, great group of drivers, no turnover, zero turnover. It's when somebody dies or retires that they have to replace.
Right.
But he has an interesting physics. He's created a policy that says you're only allowed to drive to a maximum of 10 hours per day. The law says 11. I don't care. You can only drive 10 at my company, and I'm monitoring it through the telematics. And you cannot drive after midnight. Nobody is allowed to drive after midnight through the hours. I don't care if you just started at 7 o'clock at night. You drive till midnight. You shut it down. You have a place to park. Nobody drives at midnight, because I, as the owner, want to sleep at night.
Yep.
And he doesn't have to worry. You can start at 6 in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, or whatever. We, as the company, will tell the customers how the freight will be delivered and whatnot. Now, that's a pretty ballsy company. And I'll give you credit, or I'm sorry, I'll give him credit. He's very successful at it.
Because he's managing his, he's managing his risk. It's not like, it's a difference between, he's put a geofence around his company, really, for behavior. It's a difference between managing risk and gambling. When you go to Las Vegas and you put money on roulette or in a slot machine, you're gambling. Okay. I don't think in today's world you want to be gambling with people's lives in 18-wheelers. It's just not a good gamble. It's kind of risk.
It's kind of like Rico and the Tigers here. I'm hoping they win, but I'm not gambling to them to win.
Exactly.
Well, John, I'll tell you, I'm looking at the time, even though with all the technical glitches and everything else, we're pushing up against it. So I would like for, if you don't mind, please let everyone know how they can find you. If they got any questions, how they can get in contact with you, if you don't mind sharing that information.
Sure. So easiest way is right on the sign behind me. SummitRiskSolutions.ca is my website. My email address is john@SummitRiskSolutions.ca. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. I have a website, a lot of information on the website and whatnot, so feel free to look at that. And if need be, don't feel free to reach out to Rico and Chuck. Those guys can reach me as well. But yeah, we specialize in risk management and helping people better understand how to manage risk.
All right. Well, John, I definitely, for myself and for Chuck, definitely grateful for you taking the time out to come and join us. I know we had a couple of little hiccups, but we kind of managed to push through them, and we got it in. We tried to make it as best as we possibly could. So we definitely thank you again for taking the time out.
We'll check the telematics data later to find out where the glitch was.
Chuck, my friend, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you and what's going on with you.
Yes, if anybody wants to get a hold of me, please send me an email, chucksnow280@outlook.com. Put your phone number on the email. I gotta say, I'm not sitting at my computer all day anymore, so it may take me a day or 2 or 3 to get back to you, but I will get back to anybody that needs a hand with anything. Doesn't matter whether you want to get set up with traffics. I still know lots of people there. I can help you there, or you're having challenges with your business of any type. I'm glad to help in order to give back to a community that's done so much for me. I want to be able to do that for other people. And with that, Rico, I'm going to let you back her in a hole for another week. John, I want to thank you for joining us. You've been a friend of mine for many years, and certainly a mentor, and you've taught me a lot about safety that I didn't know.
Well, we've learned a lot from everybody. There's no doubt. It's reciprocating across the board.
John used to come in and audit us, when he worked for an insurance company many years ago, and I learned a lot from him about how to run a better fleet, and I'll always remember that. And
awesome. Well, thank you very much. That. Appreciate
it. Good stuff. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you guys, the viewers, for taking time out, whether you looked at us live or you catching us at a later time. We definitely are always grateful for you joining us and doing so. Help us out, though. Give us some homework assignments. Tell us some things that you guys want us to talk about. Send us some suggestions, some different things that you guys would like us to cover on the show. And between myself and Chuck, we'll try to track down someone that can definitely come on and not share lunch counter banter with you, but actually give you some real world actionable items that you can put in your toolbox to take with you on down the road. So give us some homework assignments. Tell us some things that you guys would like for us to cover, and we'll definitely try to reach out through different connections that we both have in the industry to bring someone on that can speak at it from a real knowledgeable standpoint. Like I said, please like, share, and subscribe. Helps puts us into a broader algorithm, whatever that is, the telematics of YouTube and all the different things internet-wise. All of the stuff is driven, as John says, the data is being created. So we want to try to help. You can help us create a little bit more of a broader reach with the data if you guys help us out and do that. And so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, we want you guys to stay safe, stay healthy, keep it in between the mustard and the mayonnaise, and God willing, we'll talk at you same time, same place next week. God bless you and good night.
Catch you on the flip-flop.
Thanks again, John.
Thank you. Appreciate it.